decade ago, our first granddaughter, we did. And we're having an event building art event. And then got a call. Actually, got a private that daughter died. Lost effect was devastating. Our daughter, uh, then the prophetic words came. She uh, came, and as soon as we saw him, and he had a head of hair like, and Tobias was healing his whole body. When Leanne showed up, it got passed around the everybody helped child healing, and there was a calling like that, unlike other Bible. It absolutely couldn't. And so they showed up about this thing, running around. Tobias saw it. Have you ever played a and he went for almost an hour, actually an hour, Spanish, and he didn't stop. He didn't. We just said, "Wow," kept going. So hear this. He wanted to come this right, Toby. What is the meaning of so far blown with entire breath? Meaning, but three things here. The the unbroken sustained tone mimics the trumpet blast used to announce the coronation of royal. It signifies acknowledging God as supreme king. I'll take that. Second, a wake up call. A loud, steady drone is a spiritual alarm designed to shatter complacency. It serves as a stark reminder to wake up from spiritual slumber, examine one's deeds, and repent. And the third one, a call to attention. Biblical times, a long sustained single blast used to command total attention from the assembly. Now, Tobias, thank you. You were amazing. And I think it was pathetic. I think that's something we need to stop. Father, we thank you for the gifts you've given. Thank you for the prophetic words you brought into this church. We thank you that they're not for data given. They hang on, live them. This is life for that still in progress. Thank you so much. Pray for understanding, Father. We know that you just have understanding. Correct. just to say, Noah's keep seeing that. That's a living place. Once, isn't that fun? Done. You can to my wife.
Alicio and Leanne. But anyways, we're gonna just continue on in worship. There was a astounding. I found a couple of things. One was rivers and wells, and the other one was the Holy God. So those two connect somehow. But during worship, did anybody receive anything from the Lord that they like to share? Any word, prophetic word? I had just this last week talking about the wells. As many of you know, I've been driving to the little towns around Winnipeg, southern Manitoba, and we prayed about that. We had a meeting, and someone had mentioned was praying for me, and she said this whole area used to be Lake Agassiz, and she felt there is a connection about stirring up the wells. There's the underground wells. There's thousands and thousands of artesian wells all through this area, but there's something about going on and blessing the land. There's wells, spiritual wells. So I was really, really encouraged that there's something significant about southern Manitoba. I'll have to find out how far Lake Agassiz. Maybe that could be my parameters. I don't know. Maybe it's all of Manitoba. I don't know how far it was. Pardon me? No, it was most southern, right? Yeah, because I know if you go to Grand Beach and you're on top of a hill, I think that was not. You could see the whole thing. So that's so there's something about wells and rivers and life in there. So Lord God, I thank you that you're speaking life over this area, over our province. Lord, that you're calling us for those wells to rise up, wells within us and wells in our land. That this is the time for the wells to be to come alive again and to spring up and to release that living water that you've actually placed in our land, both naturally and in the spirit. There's living water in our province, and so I just thank you that you're speaking this out right now. You're stirring it up. Jesus' name and Jesus' name. Thank you. Thank you. No stirring in the hearts. Okay, we're gonna. Oh, come on up.
A lot of sense of affirmation of everything that's been going on as of late, and just confirming that that's what's supposed to be happening.
I thank you, God, for that encouragement. That even when we don't understand, do that the encouragement that even though we don't understand, we are on the. You're leading us forward, and that what is supposed to be happening is happening. All right. We'll do some quick announcements, and then, as you know, today is our family day. Yay! Oh, you have something?
I forgot something. It keeps coming to my head. I'm gonna say a sentence. See how many people get it. From you to you by way of zoo. Harold Hill wrote. It was a book that was written in about 1970. And when I was about 12 years old, I read that book, and it impacted. And for some reason, it popped in my head today, and then I couldn't get out of my. There was something in that book. I'm pretty sure it's in that book. That was Eric. You're going to be able to correct me on this, but I think it was Harold Hill that was in the hospital, and Jesus walked down the hall, and Jesus walked right up to the. He sat in his bed. He could hear the footsteps. He knew Jesus walked. And Jesus walked in and started talking, giving him instructions for his life. And at the same time, a little demon walked in, or ran in, and started running circles around Jesus and jumping up and down. Distracted. Was that him? It was distracting him, and he couldn't hear what Jesus, the instruction that Jesus was giving. And this went on and on and on, and he was getting frustrated. Finally, he told the demon to get lost. Jesus, I know. Jesus said, "Gave you power to do it. Your job." And he just kept talking. And there's somebody needs to hear that today. Kept coming to your head. So distractions in your life, you can so focus on Jesus.
Have an announcement, Ted? Mhm. Oh, you're doing announcements, all right. You can do announcements because I'm going to.
Hi. Couple missions things. Both things to pray about, so to give towards. So you guys probably don't realize it, or some. Christina, my daughter, is international there. So praying for them today. They're an hour ahead of us, so it's 10 o'clock there. Ministering in a church this morning, and after an evening, city's biggest and their other week basic. So, and also Christina has been so busy she funds for so any tribute to her codes on the but hers is MAI, that's missions. So she's close to 3,000. And then other thing is Wagwa Ministry. Is that how you say it? Yeah, Cheryl nodded. Wagwa Ministries. Their code we're talking is missions M-KW. It's on the end. So they're building a house. Children in Uganda already have a bunch of children being taken care of by other ministry. Trying to get this house built, and I felt like it was time to. We gave a bunch of money to them, which helped. Some they need the inside of the plaster, so nothing's happened. 5 months. Need about 1,600 inside. I thought maybe it was a goal. It's a trip. Try to. I found it. Last time I gave a break to say that it's reasonable. But again, if 3 people gave 5, 11 people gave 6 people gave 50, and 10 gave 100, but gave 10, and that's 30. So it's doable. Last time, I think did better. So just start thinking about that. Thank you.
Right. A few more announcements today. As Family Day, we started. We're going to have lunch. Everyone is invited. We will we'll give you instructions at the end of the service. We have people assigned for the kitchen, and so the kitchen doors will stay closed until they'll let us know when it's. But we'll let you know, give further instructions too. But everyone is welcome to join us for lunch if you so choose. Tuesday we have our small groups. Thursday morning we will have worship here from 10 to noon. It's just private time, personal time. You come in and just enjoy time with Jesus. So it's just a great opportunity. It's nice and quiet, very peaceful. You're looking for a nice place to just soak. It's Thursday morning. And yeah, nobody talks to anybody. Yeah, you just find your spot, sit and soak. And then on June 6th, next Saturday, these men are getting together. They're gonna have breakfast here, and then they're gonna do some manly work stuff, manly stuff. If some ladies want to come and do some work around the building, you're welcome to join. But the breakfast, I think, with men. We don't want women. Okay, okay. So we can just come and do whatever. But it's a day for men to just get together and do and connect as men. The end of June, the 29th, it's the last Monday. It's the fifth Monday, and so Manitoba group, Manitoba Leadership Network, has a Zoom call. It's going to be a fundraiser for them. We bring in speakers. We're bringing in Barry Miracle to Rock Lake and stuff like that. So it's a fundraiser, and what they're doing is having different prophetic voices from across Canada come on to prophesy over our nation, over the province. So you're welcome to join in. I will send in a link when I get that. Also, I'm looking for our stories, especially for those who have been part of our body for a length of time, because we are trying to get to know each other better. And so we have someone sharing today, and then we have someone for June. I need July, August, and September. I know it's really awkward there because people are on holidays and whatnot. But if you feel the Lord just encouraging you that it's your turn to share your story, let me know. And especially those who have been walking with us for quite some time. If you're just starting, I'm just going to ask you to hold back a little bit and so that you can get to know us and we can get to know you a little bit better or engage in that way. I think that's everything for announcements. Did I miss anything? We're good. We're good. Okay, so we are going to we're going to have share with us today. So Nick's going to come and share. And so he's going to tell us his story. And then after that, we're going to spend time praying over him and prophesying over him like we usually do, just to encourage and bless and just love on him. So thank you. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Nick. This is, Lord, I just pray your blessing on Nick as he shares, your peace, your grace, and just your delight over.
Oh, good morning. So I'm gonna start this by saying I'm running on like 6 hours sleep for the whole week. So forgive me if I don't make any sense. Okay. Exactly. So, well, my name's Nick. I have been part of this body since Dad joined. I want to say somewhere in there. You guys were over at the old place over by off of Portage there, Clifton. Yeah, yeah. So that's where I started coming to WCC. Then I actually helped with the renos of this building when this building was fired. I remember doing all the renos and everything as like an 11-year-old. It's been a while, but anyway, I digress. So I was born in Brandon on April 7th, 1984. The city where my heritage is Ukrainian, so I identify very, very heavily. But my first memories are of the house on Craig Street, 509. About age of 2 or so, my childhood had its ups. Memorable moments were going to England, playing hockey, dad in the back, tackling the dog, which liked to swallow tennis balls, burying myself in many, many piles of trees dropped to fall. And it was good, and, although not with always sunshine. When I was 4, my father ran into his wall and decided to challenge God, and God met him radically. This caused a divide. So miraculously, My dad did that and accepted Christ, which completely destroyed, which completely threw the house. This caused a war between my parents, 4 to 6, because my mom did not want to change. I accepted Christ in my heart at 5. I remember it clearly. It was great. And life was okay, but at the same point in time, it was, not good. When I was 6, mom decided she'd had enough, wanted to change the way she was, so she kicked my dad out. After a couple of years, that resulted in me being moved to British Columbia at the age of all my friends, family, you name it, is what. While in BC, I became a pariah amongst my peers. It didn't affect me as I thought, as I was okay. Didn't matter. And kept coming back to Winnipeg in the summertime, Christmas, Easter. Got to see dad, see my grandparents. It was good. Um, every time having to basically retrain dad that I was not the kid that I was before. That was always fun, especially when I was a teenager. And then, due to some family politics that happened in 1996, caused some pretty catastrophic damage to my mental state, to who I thought I was, and my personal value, and what I believe to be true about how my family should be. That damage is still being undone to this day, but God is good. So, and He was there with me. He always was, even if I wasn't paying attention. Then in January of '96, Pauline Shezak, my dad's mom, passed away. My world broke and shattered in a way that I was not prepared. A safe person was gone, which led to excessive bullying by my classmates and peer groups, which continued until it came to a physical confrontation in grade 7, and then another one in grade 8, which ended. But to get through this all, I buried myself in my music and my academics. I became a mathlete and a very big band person. Got a National Music Society of Canada, which I thought was pretty cool. From a backwater BC fishing town. But still had no outlet for social outlet, or anyone that I felt comfortable enough to share with, including. Fast forward to January '98, got to go on trip of a lifetime. My grandparents paid for me and my mom to New Zealand for 6 weeks. Went to New Zealand, Australia. It was a really fun time. Got to do a whole bunch of things. Learned that my grandfather was much more playful than I thought, with the jellyfish incident, which I will tell you later. But I will not. But even all this, God was still there. Always blessed. And despite everything that happened, everything seemed right. That right person, right time. So returning to BC in the February, life continued. And then as we were winding up, mom gave me a decision. Well, I decided I'm moving to Calgary. What? Calgary. Family. There's yes, work. Okay. I found out later on other reasons, but I'm not going to get into. So she gave me a decision. She says, if you want to stay in Quebec, you will stay. If you want to go to Calgary, Calgary. So I'm sitting here as a 13, 14-year-old looking at my life. Do I go to Calgary? Stay here and know where I know what's what. And at the time, I had no friends, no community. There really wasn't much connection aside from my grandparents. They were always in New Zealand or globetrotting. So I made the decision, yeah, let's move to Calgary, which would irrevocably change the rest of my life. In a good way and a bad way. So we moved to, so came out here for the summer of '98, where I was given the opportunity to go to Rock Lake again, and God radically met me. radically. I had an intimate and prolonged encounter with radically scared me. Wonderfully electrifyingly and terrifying all at the same time. Um, because I lacked the guidance to deal with that, I kind of ran away. Came back. I kind of stepped back. Immediately following our Chinatown Rock Lake, I went to Disney World for a week with my aunt and uncle, which was very nice. Then I came back, spent time with Al, and then went back to a new place I've never been because it was Calgary. I wasn't going back home to BC. I was going back home to Calgary. Uh, so when I got back, there's a couple things that happened. Mom had made a bunch of decisions about the move that I didn't, without consulting me, that affected me, like selling my bike. The one that fit, so I almost died. I'm riding it in Calgary, which was fun, and I haven't ridden a bike since. I was 14. To this day, I'm still trying to get back on a bike. Almost having your head squished by a car kind of tends to color you. And again, God was with me the entire time. When I was in grade 9, He connected me with a couple youth groups, churches, and then there's other provisions that were made, including friends that I was participating. One of which would actually become one of the relations would actually lead to me having employment down the road, older, but I'll get into that. The grade 9 didn't make any friends. Came back here that summer, not realizing it was my last time coming back to Winnipeg summertime. So I was like, till I started working summer jobs after, right? So grade 10, I met my core group of friends in grade 10 when I hit high school. I found the theater crowd, where all the misfits, forgottens, and people who had more miles on them than their road should have had, and had rough. And I fit right in because I've had a rough life. I picked on. It's all the same group of people. We all had the same wounds, including parent, father, mom. All a bunch of broken people trying to get through. And yet God was still. I didn't see Him. I didn't pay attention, but He provided community when I didn't have to. While in high school, I grew, adjusted, finally started to find my strength. But I found two teachers in high school. One was my English teacher, Mr. Albrecht, who taught me how to engage in language and use the correct words, as opposed to, he got me hooked on Shakespeare while trying to understand the meaning behind what is being said. Sometimes something I'd always struggled with up to that point. Because I'd always gotten a 65, like barely passing until I hit class and I got an 80. So you don't jump 20% without having an actually somebody connecting the dot. And then there was the other one was Mr. Pringeli, my social studies teacher. And he taught me how to look beyond what was being presented and form your own opinion. A choice he later regretted in grade 12. Because when I walked into it, I had him through all high school. I walked into his class in grade 12. He looked at me, he said, ignore your places, sit down and shut up. Of course, I never did. And then beginning of grade 12, that was 2001. We all know what happened at 9/11. And then all bets were off, and that completely colored the rest of what happened. In springtime of high school, we lost a dear friend to actually our class valedictorian, which really impacted the entire school and actually brought a group of friends together. And I still talk to them. Actually, was good, but horrible thing. And that is when I but right around that time is when I came across this lovely gem from Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis noble in mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing end. That's the opening line from Hamlet, where the Danish prince is deciding whether to stay here. And what it really reminded me that God is always here and there's no reason because God is. I think it's end of Matthew chapter 6 that also says, why do we focus on what we will wear, what God provides all that we focus on. And that's when I kind of started leaning into that a little bit more. And then I hit college, and college is college. So I lost my way again. And then in 2005, after completing college, mom unceremoniously said, "Okay, I'm selling the house and moving to the other side of the planet." So on 2 months' notice, just after getting out of school, no career, no jobs, no nothing. Here, kid, here's $2,000. Good luck. And so that really put me in a behind the eight ball for a while. Actually, for 20 years, put me behind the eight ball. But I actually restabilized after passing as a result of that decision. So it was an interesting time. I learned a lot, but I made the decision when I moved out to try and honor my career, right? Honor being a theater technician and a stagehand, which is what I went to college for. So I did that for about a year, and then I got tired, living on $900 and having just enough to choose like ramen noodles. So then I got offered a job construction. Okay, I'll just do this for 6 months, get myself back in the green, then I can re-engage. Well, my first paycheck was more than I was making a month for 2 weeks of just. So I decided, hey, this ain't so bad. I'm going to stick with it. And then 3 months later, they offered apprenticeship. Sat on 3 years, and finally decided in 2010 to just pursue after getting married, meeting my now ex, and starting to set up a life. In that time, there was rental fraud that looked upon us. There were people not paying. Just a whole bunch of stuff that that should have not. I should have, as the whole, should have broken some. But God was still there, and God provided a way through. We never went without. Always enough money just enough money to cover everything. Always food. There's always a full freezer. So even though I wasn't paying attention to God, He was still going, here, this is what you need. Gotcha. Which looking back now I see. And prior to that, 2005, before I went into construction, I actually was being in 2006, I was homeless twice. 2 separate times, neither were my fault, but I wound up being homeless. And God made sure I never spent a single night on the street. Always had a place to stay, always had food, always had clothing, always had a place to put all my stuff. So it wasn't. So I've never left wanting, which I didn't see at the time because I was just in fight or flight and survival mode. In 2007, at that point in time, I'd gone through my parents' divorce papers, and I decided to go no contact with my parents to 2000 for most of 2006 and the first half of 2007 because I just couldn't stand what they'd done and how they treated each other and what that had left for me as a man. I realized in 2007, about May, right at the height of the Iraq War, that this is foolish, and that I should talk to my parents. So I made an effort to reconnect both at that point in time, which was a good choice. And then he said, through that time, 2008, I met my partner at that time, and then 2009, fall of 2008, we started going to U Church Calvary, which was based out of the University Science Theaters and is very much like this body. Very spirit led, very missions oriented, not about the building. But while I was there, I started volunteering with the men's ministry. I was on the sound team for them, and I was also on the kids ministry. I was really involved in the church, and things were going well. We fast forward to 2013. I lost my job. Went to school, finished my carpentry diploma, lost my job, came back to I didn't realize that was industry standard at the time, or I wouldn't have gone to fourth year when I did, but that was what happened, and So we wound up moving out of the city to Cochrane in early 2014 to get to cheaper rents, where I wound up working, um, wound up continuing doing my security job, which I'd branch into when I started construction, because it married very well with my stagehand stuff. Because when you on the weekends go work this load in, have a 2 hour nap, work the security call for the show, then change gears, change your shirt, and then go load the show out till 2 a.m. Go back home for 5 a.m. to get 2 hours sleep, get up, do it all over. And that was my life in my early 20s, very much so. And I thought there was nothing wrong with this. Oh, what we learned. So, so as I said, 2010 I got married. In 2014 I started working for myself. After completing my carpentry ticket and getting laid off, I started working for myself, and things were going okay. Money was tight, but things were going okay. We had invested, and then fall of 2014, I got stiffed for about 10 years on a contract with no means to actually reclaim that money after. That caused a very, very rocky time between me and Arca, and she was actually at that point threatening to leave me. Then, as she was threatening that, we found out she was pregnant, which completely changed the focus. And I wound up working every odd job I could, wound up working security jobs. Like, I basically did everything I could. And then security dried up in June, so I started looking for a job. Wound up roofing. Wound up doing roofing summer. So I started the job a week before Katrina. So I'm like literally a week in, and it's like, okay, kids here, gotta go. So did that, went through that whole exciting experience of welcoming my daughter into the world. Kept going with that. And fast forward to Christmas of 2020. I was the last one to go to sleep, and our living situation was not very good because the upstairs couple, he was very abusive towards his wife, and the worst part was the fact we all went to the same church and tried to call him out about it. I got told, no, you don't talk about it. I'm like, okay, even though I have recordings and everything else enough to make the R seem interesting. But God said, don't do it, so I didn't. So we fast forward to that. I sit down, and as I'm going to bed, I go, God, please give me, and I'm going to premise this with saying, be careful what you ask for, because you just might. So I wound up going to bed, sleeping. As I was going to sleep, I said, God, I need 3 things. I really need 3 things right now. 1 is a way to get into a better place to live. 2 is a way to have income coming in so I can watch Katrina grow for her first couple years of life. And 3 was a better place to live, stable income, and a way to watch Katrina grow. So that evening, I have a dream. In this dream, I'm staring at a property, 2-level house. Okay, there's roof work on. Okay, fine. And I'm standing on the sidewalk. I can't look behind me, but there is a feeling of absolute love and radiance from behind me. I'm locked in. I can't look away. I keep trying. I'm stuck looking forward. And I see the worker go boop, boop, and fall to the ground. I hear God go, will that work? And I went, what? He goes, will that work? And I'm trying to figure out, but all I can feel is love and adoration. And I know this is God's presence because of what I've heard, because of what I've felt and heard. And I go, I guess. And I woke up. And I'm not thinking anything of it, going, okay, whatever, la 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 la. Carrying on. Well then, January 18th of 2016. I go to bed. Lo and behold, I have this dream again. Except for instead of will it work, it's are you sure? And I go, yes, yep, wake up. And the only thing I can think of on the morning of that, wow, it's a shame I got to fall off that roof today. And I'm like, okay. And that was the thought that happened. So get to work, same thing, about the same time. I the cleating gives way. I crash through the scaffolding I built. I catch myself on with this arm where I wreck my shoulder. Because I wreck my shoulder, I can't pull myself back up, and I wind up going down to the ground, landing on a window well, where I fracture my L2 vertebrae laterally, which means horizontally, and I crack my pelvis in 3 spots. Yes. So I as I'm when as I was falling from the roof to the ground, it got exceptionally bright. So I closed my eyes and I remember hitting the ground, but I remember not hitting the ground like suddenly, like it was more like I was placed on the ground. So I'm like, okay, fine. As I open my eyes and look up, I see 3 dots of light with wings, just booking it for the sun, just booking it, going away as fast as they can. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do damage assessment. Didn't occur to me those were angels at the time. And as I'm sitting up, I'm like, okay, neck's fine, back's fine, shoulders a bit sore, move one leg, move the other leg. Okay, that's a lot of pain. We're just gonna lie back down and start screaming for help. So my boss at the time was on the far side of the building, higher than a kite. I didn't realize this at the time, or I wouldn't have been on the roof. But what had happened is prior to that, I said, "Do you want me to set up the fall protection?" He said, "You set up the fall protection. I'm firing." Again, red flag. Didn't know. Need a job. Fresh kid, right? So, um, so I went down. The roof, the moving company across the way saw me go down. Before I even fell off the roof, they called 911. So they ran over with blankets, covered me with blankets, made sure I was lucid, everything else. And then the emergency people came, did their thing. I wound up being in Foothills Hospital for 4 days. The guy I was working for wound up losing his business. This was his second major incident in 2 years. And but God used this opportunity to introduce me to a whole bunch of people that I never would have met or known or had contact with had I not wound up in the ICU for 4 days. So that was one of those very interesting God moments in my life that He used. And the big thing is that at that point in time, I'd recently come to recommit myself to God, and I was full in. I was actually smiling and cheery and not in pain, and there was people around me screaming in agony, and I'm like, "How's your day going?" Talking to the nurse, talking to the staff of the room as they're like, "What's wrong with you?" Which actually was a really big blessing. And one of them actually wound up um, coming to know the Lord and actually started attending the church I was attending like 2 years later. It was absolutely fantastic. Let's see. So what I didn't realize is that this accident actually caused a change in my partner, which started to lead to problems. Which, because I was healing and getting myself recovering, I didn't notice. I was just focused on what was going on and being trying to follow God the best I could. We wound up in 2018 having Grayson, which was a long and hard pregnancy. Then I basically wound up getting a job, got laid off, got another job, got laid off because it wasn't communicated that I was going to be taking 2 weeks off at Christmas time, which I told them when they hired me because Grayson was being born. So I spent most of 2019 surfing the Pogie train and enjoying the time with my family, and enjoying. I used the summer to go and see my family out on the island, which would turn out to be the last time I would see my grandmother. And then I went and I used that time to come out here and see Al and see my dad and see all the family out here, because I was told that Al wasn't doing so well. Turns out he'd make another 3 years, which was good. that happened. And then we hit COVID. 20. So construction collapsed, everything collapsed. Just as I was trying to get back to work, everything went kaputs. And um, I succumbed to addiction at that time. I completely turned my back on God. I was isolated from the church groups. I was isolated from everything. And being stuck in a house all the time, somebody who's not making sense, was very challenging. So, fast forward, it got worse, got worse, got worse. 2020 summer, we wound up moving here to reset. Good. Uh, January 2021, my grandmother passed away from pneumonia in New Zealand, which actually caused my grandfather to move back to Canada from. Um, I started working in the fall of 2020 here, doing security services, which actually did me some good, but it also was was also very, very concerning because I was in the grocery store doing loss and access COVID, which caused a lot of strife in my brain that I was not prepared. So of course I stuffed it and didn't deal with it, um, which actually led me down the road back into addiction. So during 2022, it all came to a head. And my dad, very gracious to, and that was the first time in my life I actually thought he cared. It was really hard for me, but it was gracious at the time. So, um, fast forward to March, my partner had enough. She left, took the kids with her for 6 weeks to Canmore. End of April, she decided to come back. Or I set up the situation. She didn't have permission to take the kids. Had to come back, and then she moved into her own place at that point in time. That fall, she drafted a separation agreement. The following summer, I was served the topic. I was served in January or February. All the while, God providing for me, making sure I have enough to make ends meet, and providing me the place I live in now, which I shouldn't have the price I'm paying. I'm eternally grateful about that. God is amazing and just provides every which way, shape, even to this day. Just enough money to cover everything, just enough money to make sure everything's paid for, and enough money to make sure I am. In 2023, just around the time that Arnica left me, 2023, just around the time I was served with divorce papers, my position at work changed. I was moved into a mobile supervisory role. I did not realize at the time that that was being decided because my bosses were trying to steal money from the company, which I was implicated in, but because I did everything right and didn't actually do anything wrong, kept receipts, I walked away okay, and God providing, protecting me. So in 2023, I collapsed at work. My mom was diagnosed with ALS, and work basically accused me of embezzlement as well as getting a divorce. So, fall of 2023, I just collapsed and said, I'm done. And that was the end of it. And then in November, got some money coming in from my mom's estate, and life, well, again, God provided. It was not what I expected. And I've been recovering ever since and working on myself ever since, putting myself back together, which God has been very gracious about, providing me the community and supporting me, and helping me put myself back together, which was really good. And he's just holding me. He's keeping me there, keeping me love, letting me know that I am his son. And that is more than I could ever hope for. Um, I also recently just gave up on my attitude about it, about it not being about me and being about him. Only recently. It always has been about him. I'm glad to be alive when I should not be. There are 6 different times I should have died at work, but I'm still here. I'm joyful to have family such as I do here. I am working on being at peace, knowing it is not my way, but by his hand. I have hope that he will use this in ways I cannot comprehend. Thank you for listening.
Nicholas? Okay, this is when we get to encourage Nicholas. And that's what we do. So Nicholas is just gonna sit right here. You guys are gonna come up. We're gonna pray over. Okay? Prophesy over him. So can't do that sit up. And if you have nothing for him, then for sure come on up and just stand beside people who are praying and learn. This is a good time to be family, body. And when we pray into the mic so that we can. Nicholas, I think there was some more to do. I think speaking it allows things up and that, and I appreciate allowing up. And I just pray that God in your life and that you can allow and that the road ahead is fun. It's gonna be a smile. I'm
Has got a picture of a Seven Sisters Falls uh, sprout growing crack crops. It's not just some little weak, spindly thing. It's a strong sprout growing. That's you.
I me earlier, and was I sensed mighty one, mighty one. He lives and dwells in you. The mighty lives and dwells in you. He supports you, and it's just mighty in you. Mighty, you can lean into that might.
Share God, God. And I feel that the Lord is, I just remind hearers of the things and things that uh, didn't make sense or things that, why is this happening? But because they kept their heart fixed on this, no matter how, they didn't feel good all the time. I'm thinking of David, like he went through stuff, but it was so that God was preparing Joseph to God. Everything is for a purpose, and the purpose was God had such a great place for them. They had to go through to prepare for that place. Because if you don't go through, you can't handle a great place. So, Lord, I thank you. You have Nick on this journey, Nicholas on this journey into a great place in your kingdom. And I thank you that you're making sure he is prepared so he can stand well in that great place. I thank you for the grace and for the that you are his shepherd and you would never leave him. You are his provider, his healer. You also have his hands on him, making sure he stays alive because you have that great place for him. And Lord, I thank you for this process. And Lord, I pray for greater grace, even greater grace to pour on that empowers him to continue on. And Lord, I thank you that he is surrendering his heart to you. So as he goes through, his heart is a surrendered heart, ready to stand and stand well and successful in a greater place.
chapter, but specific, for I know the plans I have, and declares plans to prosper and not to harm, plans to a hope. Yeah, true. Always.
Um, your testimony actually proved that Psalm 109 is true. Lord, you know everything there is to know about me. You perceive every moment of my heart and soul, and you understand my every thought before it even enters my mind. You are so intimately aware of me, Lord. You read my heart like an open book, and you know that all the words I'm about to speak, even before I start the sentence, you know every step I will take before the journey begins. You've gone into my future to prepare the way, and in kindness you follow behind me to spare from the harm of my past. You've laid your hand on me, testified several times. God was there. I want you to know, yes, this is true, because I'm thinking about you all the time, and I prepare you so that you can go forth. I know you made Saint a long time ago, giving gifts out to children that we need. I'm not sure it's going to be children, but I sense that God, so that you can give out from the heart of God to the people who need something. You've experienced hell, and now you're coming to the heavenly realm. Use your experiences to touch hearts, even as you've been touched, and you will see miracles take place and heal.
It's interesting because I had that same jolly old saint, and that even there's a joy coming to what's joy, just bubbles, and um, and after that, have some So, yeah, you brought it to brought it, and uh, we keep things in the darkness. The Lord, the enemy, plan, and you exposed it. So you are no longer victorious, and so
In the song, saying, "See, the old
you're not a failure. There are some things that fail, you're not, and you go in your life victorious. Thank you, Lord, yes, Lord, that you bless him, that he would stand on his shoulders, set his face all over his life. And uh, but I found that have, have a big, other, a good heart because you, if could, yeah, like, if you could, and you're just like dad and patient. And because God has, and just take that because what goes in life, the scripture is, but you surely know that one. But uh, whatever you come better come do that, I'll look it up. I have to get it. So God bless you. Look it up. Don't discourage.
I think I watched you go surviving to thrive from Ephesians 6. Touch heart. So I'm very proud to come to no way. Or you that should you see her like so should way of that's help continue and everything
myself genetics as a kid. One, bum, 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 master. As a kid, um, God teaching he has a GMO company, sold it. But God took his two sons, his company, put out manipulate gene. Son, 3 months, father showed how to. When he sold the company, two sons, company manipulate gene. The American company mismanaged how to sell cheap. Youngest son, father back. Son. So whether you going through, try to relate as much as possible. Yeah, okay, I had to give you this test. See it. I don't know what it is. It's too much. I should say this God, sovereign, doesn't matter what you take, God to take David. That's David. Take David. Want to fish sharp. That's what God super over. So I see that, see your greater. Whatever you're going through, take it. Learn as you can. Give it. God bless you.
Just wanted, I'm sorry, something listening. Out. As everyone was speaking, I was just looking and what everyone was saying. So it's these two, like with the birds, it is one that is they're kind of training the other one. Because I remember exactly what the movie is, and so like the eagle, one in the nest, watching its trainer, or the other one's training. Yeah, so he's watching her. So with your story, I'm kind of God, or being trained to something new, not going to go perfect. So I trainer. I,
Can smell food, but we've got one more thing. Um, so you finished your journeyman carpenter, right? Not quite. So as soon as you get that level pay increase, so you get fired, right? So there were several things you talked about think that you were robbed. And people did prophetic act in my life because the same thing happened to me, and I got paid back. God has recovered things that we lost, and we're gonna pray as a group. That's gonna happen with this life that you're gonna get. You're gonna recover, and it's gonna be at the right time, and it's gonna be with wisdom. We're just praying money that's been robbed paid back, and that there could be good with. Thank you. Good. Cheryl, did you have something? Didn't.
I never, and God shown He's my and and God
Thank you. Father, we thank you for all the 20 uh, table people have blessed her body. Enjoy this time together. Okay, there's door there that's gonna enter when it's open, and it's not open. So that means the boss in there is Veronique, has every right to kick. She has that authority, and if she gets pushed back by somebody, then she comes to me and I help. But she has full authority to come and open that door and let us know when we need. And we should thank her and hug her and enjoy the. Gonna go in that door, come out the other side, and say, join people that you don't normally join. So have a good morning, have a good week. Oh yeah, just minor details. We do full healings over here and prophetic word prayer. So if you need any of that, that's all happening right here in front. And let's try to keep respect to this area. If you want to jump up and scream and dance and talk about the weather, don't do it here. Move somewhere else because over here they're actually good stuff. Okay?